Hey everyone, thank you for watching. In this video, we're going to show you how to draw a hand in an L-shaped position. So grab your pencils and let's get drawing. The L position is like this, so we're going to draw from this, somewhat of this perspective. Grab your pencil, I'm using a 5B, and we're going to start out by just drawing the wrist. The wrist will be like that. The hand itself will kind of go over here. You'll have your pinky, you'll have your ring finger, you'll have your middle finger protruding just a little bit, and then attached to that you'll have the index finger. Okay? Down on the side you're going to have the thumb. So the thumb kind of like this, if you're looking like that. The thumb will sort of go like this, and we'll basically try to get a bit of a something like that. We're going to clean this up. This looks a little off in my opinion, so I'll just erase this and tell you that the hand has 27 bones. I had no idea that there was that many bones in the hand, but apparently the hand has 27 bones. And there's also 8 bones in the wrist itself, so very, very interesting to think of that as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure that our outline of our hand is to our liking, and for the most part this is, I'm pretty happy with this. Anytime you draw a finger or a hand, fingers on a hand, you typically you want to get your creases over here and over here as well. That's a really easy way to do that, and just make sure you get the nail there as well. This is a rough outline. We're going to clean that up. I just wanted to establish that that's where the nail will be. Okay. When you do have the L shape in the hand, you're really going to have some of these lines that kind of go like this, and the skin kind of does this stretching thing over here. So we'll do that, and we'll kind of bring the thumb around, and there's a couple lines like that, and we're going to see some of the nail, but we're definitely not going to see all of it. So it's kind of it's like 2/3 shown, 1/3 hidden. So that's kind of what we're going to draw over here. You're going to have a bit of skin fold over here. Actually, this is not going to be that much. You're going to have a little, whoops, you're going to have a little less over here. You can have much more over here because the hand is showing more of these lines. So don't be afraid to accentuate some of those lines over there, okay? So we're gonna keep going. What happens over here is you have a bit of an indentation down and then back connecting to the wrist, okay? This is by no means the exact way that we wanna have this position, so don't be afraid to say, hey, you know what? This should really come down just a bit, and this can kind of come over here, and this can kind of look over here. Don't be afraid to make changes. Even that right there, I feel like that's a little too much, so we'll just bring that back down. That's actually the knuckle of the pinky right there. The knuckle on the ring finger is here. The knuckle on the middle is here, and the knuckle on the index is just lower. You kind of have this shape like this happening. If you kind of look, the knuckle kind of moves around like that, okay? So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna erase that after, but just keep that in mind for now. If we're looking at this and we're kind of identifying the proportions here, I'm right away seeing that the thumb is just far too big for this drawing, and I'm just gonna correct that by just shortening it just a bit. And in doing so, I'll just remove the nail and put it back. Don't worry, nothing to worry about. And I also think that we can maybe thin out some of the thumb as well. So let's see how we can do if we can just very quickly remove that and get that down just a little bit. I think that looks a little bit better. I think just getting that down just a bit as well might look a lot better too. So what did we say? 27 bones in the hand, 8 bones in the wrist, 5 bones in the palm. And that basically links 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your 5 bones in the palm link to your 5 fingers, right? So the next step, what you want to do is add in some light and some very introductory shading to this. So I would say always start at the edges and just bring that around over there, and even on the sides, try to use some curvature lines to kind of create a 3D effect as well. And even over here, you can kind of create some lines to really bring this up. Don't be afraid to add a little bit of smudge and just give it that effect. That's really how we get this looking as realistic as possible. Crosshatch the other way, get some of the crosshatching to exist that way, and over here you can crosshatch the opposite way as well, and just re-establish your outer line as well, because sometimes with the smudging you lose it. Okay? You can do the same over here. Now, I mentioned the knuckles. What you want to do for knuckles, and this is something we've done quite a bit in the different hand drawings we've done, is switch over to something like a 7B, and each of these knuckle spots, what you want to do is create some shading beside the knuckle, and the resulting white space will actually, in turn, create the knuckle for you. So, creating the shading beside the knuckle will then in turn create that knuckle piece there. The knuckle is typically lighter in shade, and you'll kind of see that. You can kind of see that right away, that it's lighter right over there. If you ever go too dark there, just grab your eraser and just flick your eraser on there, and you'll see the knuckle kind of appear. I mean, that's my trick for drawing knuckles. It kind of works really well. So we're going to do that for each of these knuckles. So over here, the knuckle, if we're looking at it, is also sort of towards the top. So you can create some shadows and shading just around it and work your way down. If you remember some of our drawings in the past, these kind of lines also help create a realistic piece of the hand, in which, if you look at the hand, you have some of these lines that exist, right? So that's really what we're doing here. There's actually 2 sets of muscles and tendons in the hand. You have your flexor muscles bend the fingers and the thumb, and the extensors straighten them out. So flexors bend and extensors straighten them out. Those are the 2 types of muscles that would exist on the hand. So take note of that. I think that's an important one to note. We're going to continue drawing the knuckle and the corresponding piece that goes down with it. Again, using the white space to accentuate that, and just using our smudge technique to draw that out as well. Nothing wrong with grabbing your eraser and just reestablishing some of these lines if they do get a little bit blended out when we do our smudge technique, okay? I find when drawing hands, using the smudge really helps, for me at least, creating some of the shadows and shading that would typically exist over here. So I don't know if you noticed the same or not. The middle finger is a bit out, because when we're doing this shape, the middle finger, you do see a bit of it. So you might want to just have some lines going out like that, and have some nice shading just on the side only, right over here, because this is somewhat of a 3D effect to create some shadow and shading on the side. And you might even say, let's put a few hairs, and if it's a male's hand, sometimes you have a couple hairs. I tend to draw my own hand when I draw hands, so we'll do that. And then the last part is the knuckle that's here. Because the finger's extended, the knuckle might sit just a little lower down here. So therefore, we're gonna create the shadows and shading just over here. And we'll then make our way up along the finger. Okay. Grab your eraser if you want to just fix that up a bit. I think hands are one of the most difficult things to draw. If we look at some of our requests and emails and messages and inbox that we get, hands is always the thing that we get asked to draw the most. Can you draw a hand grabbing this? Can you draw a hand pointing? Can you draw a hand holding a burger? All kinds of different requests. The burger thing is really funny. I think one time we had someone say, can you draw a hand holding two hands holding a burger? And I was like, yes, definitely. So hands holding things tends to be the biggest request, and then after that followed by just general, hand drawing itself. So we're here. We're here to help. We're going to try our best to create more hand drawings for you. Okay. So we're starting to put this together. Reestablish your outer lines as well. You can do that just like that. How are you doing? Are you drawing along or are you watching? Let us know. Leave a little comment. If you're midway through this video, we'd love to hear from you. We always, do really enjoy hearing from people that are watching, and just to hear from fans, and let us know what else we can draw for you. Just say, hey, can you draw this or can you draw that? We really, 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 really enjoy that. So please don't be afraid to drop a comment below. If you're not already subscribed, we'd love if you subscribe to the channel as well. And I just want to make sure that the shadows are being represented here. I think some of them kind of got lost. So there's nothing wrong with just kind of going back and just darkening up some of the sides over here. Just making sure that this looks as realistic as possible, right? And then in terms of the thumb, like I said, you do have a lot of these lines that kind of have come as a result of the stretching over here. So we definitely want to put those on. And in fact, some of these actually get pulled further. So you can also create just a little bit of a darker spot here, showing that this skin piece actually has kind of folded over there, okay? So that's really all I'm doing there. Let's make sure this looks real as well. Use your smudge to kind of pull that together. And what else can I say? What else can I say? I think this stretch needs to stretch just more like this, and then onto the thumb. I think the thumb itself just needs to come in a bit. And in doing so, we're going to remove some of these lines, bring this down, and I think we'll probably bring the nail down just a little bit as well. The other interesting thing is when you make this shape, you have this dark spot over here, and that's a result of this tendon kind of going this way. So we'll draw just the slightest little bit over here, and we'll back this up. This piece over here will kind of stop it over there. So you have this kind of dark like spot over here, and it actually goes along with the fact that this piece connects to the thumb, right? So if you shade that out and maybe just get your eraser and just draw a line, you'll see that kind of start to look a little more realistic. So do that as well. And we're just going to add some shading to the thumb because it's kind of sitting out like a sore thumb. Pun intended. You don't want any kind of finger, thumb, or any part of your drawing to kind of look like you forgot to shade it. So we always try to make sure we cover that and make sure it looks as realistic as possible. So, so keep that in mind. And then on that note, just go back and see if there's any spots on your drawing that, you know, really look like they're out of place in terms of some of the shadows and shading that should be there. You definitely don't want it to look like, you know, you forgot to shade a spot or what have you. So try to keep that in mind as well. I would say that you can move on to an 8B just to add some final kind of darker lines on your drawing. I mentioned the flexors and the extensors. Those are the two muscles. I think the flexors go out and the extensors go in. No, it's actually the flexors go in and the extensors go out. So the flexors are fastened to the underside of the forearm and the extensors are connected to the top of the forearm. So keep that in mind. If you're curious about that or curious about the muscles in the hand, that's something else that you can keep in mind. Like I said, the flexor bends and is connected to the underside, and the extensors pull and are connected to the top of the forearm. If you think about that, it actually makes sense. It actually anatomically makes sense. I won't explain that any more than I did because I think it's not an anatomy lesson here, but I see that making a lot of sense in my opinion, so hopefully for you as well. So really what we're doing at this stage is just following up and making sure that some of our shading is really on point and that we're happy with it. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with this drawing. There's just one last thing that I do want to add, and it might take just a little bit of time, but I'm sure you don't mind, and it'll really pull the drawing together. I'm going to grab an H pencil, and I'm just going to put on ever so slightly just the tiniest little bits of arm hair that might exist around this arm. I think it'll make it look a lot more realistic, and it's very tedious. So what you want to do is just kind of ever so lightly just hit various random spots to kind of create the effect of little hairs that might exist on the hand. You don't need a lot, you just need enough to really show this pattern of, for example, let's fix that up as well. So just a little bit of arm hair, like I was saying, and back over here, I just kind of noticed that this is kind of throwing me off, and I'd really like to, I guess, just make it a little more uniform, and in doing so, just up and down, just like that, and then again, just as a result, just let some of the the lead to kind of bleed back onto that page, okay? I would say that's it. Just clean up some of the lines that maybe have gone over. Whenever we do the smudge, it kind of goes over the page, so clean up. And I would say I'm pretty happy with that in terms of a quick sketch. Nice instruction, give you some quick facts along the way. Please let us know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. We love having you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.